Hello and welcome to my creative castle. Should we call this my MCC? May's Creative Castle? I don't know, but I kind of like the sound of it. So if you're a returning viewer, what do I say? And really do mean it, truly heartfelt. Thank you so much for choosing to come back, hang out, and spend a little bit of your day with me. And thank you for your patience while I briefly introduce myself to anybody who might be new to my channel. Hi, my name is May. I love yarn. I love to knit and crochet. Those are my hobbies. And I also happen to have been born visually impaired, legally blind, and completely colorblind. So I mostly knit and crochet by feel. And well, guess what? It's my birthday, y'all. And you just know I wanted to spend some time with you guys hanging out, right? So, my birthday is Thursday, February 5th. So actually, technically, I'm recording this if you know, right? If you're a returning viewer, you know the sad story of internet in rural America. So I'm recording this on Wednesday the 4th, trying to get my blanket situated here so you all can hang out with me on my birthday. So turning 48 years old today. The world keeps on turning, my friends, right? Whether we like it or not. So first thing, right? I do want us to craft a little bit, but guess what I've been talking about for a while? The Purl Soho, right? So, what I say, I bought 3 yarns from them, very small quantities, like 2 skeins each, right, of 3 different yarns. So like hat quantities. Am I gonna keep ordering from them? I don't know. Their yarn's really out of my budget, like super, even on sale. This was an indulgence, right? Because I wanted it for something. Now, part of me was like, save it for the 1-year anniversary of the channel, right? But I'm like, it's my birthday. I don't want to wait till the 23rd. I've been sitting in the house for a while, so let's do it, yo. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's open it. Now, I know it's rude to open your gifts first at your party. I know that, right? I know we should like socialize, and I should offer you some cake, right? You want some cake? There's nachos on the channel for you to enjoy. And we should like mingle and play games and whatever. But I know some of y'all are just here for the yarn, right? You just want to see the yarn, the bougie expensive yarn. So that's what we're gonna do first. So if you don't want to stick around and hang out with me, that's totally fine. So first yarn that I want to look at is the paintbrush mohair. Look at this, you guys. This is like a rated anywhere from like a 4 Aran to a 5 chunky. Let's take a look at the strands. I call it a 4 Aran. This is I believe this is the color Stormy, which is like a gray. This is 75% kid mohair, 25% Pima cotton. The Pima cotton is that sort of that strand, right, that all the mohair is on. It's that cotton core right there. So that's a really unique blend. I like that they chose to do the core strand with Pima cotton because that keeps it really soft, right? I felt some of these like kind of mohair yarns where they use other things for the cotton, for the core strand in the center. And guess what? It really changes the consistency of the yarn. And so the mohair and the Pima cotton do keep this really, really soft. This is really airy. This is really fluffy. There is like 40 colors of this too. So if you want some of this, there's a really large color palette. They have bright colors and they have, well, kind of gray colors. So I only got 2 of these. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. I think that there's a lot of potential with this yarn, okay? I think with 2 of these, I don't have a lot. I'll probably knit it up on like some small needles, right? And just, probably because I only got 2 each, these are probably just looking at hats, right? Or I could, wait till I have money and buy more and do bigger projects. But I just don't think I can keep spending my money there. I don't. But we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. This, I think on like a 5 or a 6 needle, I could make myself just by itself a really nice, dense, soft, kind of a simple hat. This is a hand wash yarn. I also think if you wanted to, you could open this up on some larger needles, right? On some like 9s or something, maybe even a 10. Get something super airy, super lacy, really, really very, very pretty. I think you could do that as well. Like you could do a shawl or a scarf. You could do a gorgeous scarf with this. on larger needles as well, like maybe a 9 or something. Really, really pretty. Um, and also you could use this as a carry along, right? To really add bulk and depth to a project. So like a solid black or something. Which is kind of why I got it in the gray. Even though there's lots of gorgeous, gorgeous colors, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I do see these yarns also as great carry-along yarns where you can get like a marled look to your project. And so that's why I went with the gray. I thought that's going to be a good neutral for me. If I want to blend that, I can blend this gray with black, with white, with other grays. I think probably even dark blues with creams. I think there's a lot of potential with this color for if I wanted to do something and, you know, give my project like a nice marled look. Now with two of these, again, it'd be a small project, right? Hats, scarves, that kind of a thing. Maybe like a little kerchief around the neck. I couldn't even get a full scarf with two of these donuts. But this is a nice yarn. I like it. I like the feel of it a lot. You know, the only thing I really don't like, of course, is the price range. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk to y'all about this. I'll show you I don't know if there's QR codes on there. There might be, y'all. There might be a QR code there. I'll put it up there so that you can, I'm not totally positive. But so you all can see it. And there might be a name on this. I don't remember if it's Stormy or something like that. And these are about 120 yards, so you know, not a lot of yardage there. So we got two of those. Very pretty, very nice. Okay, you guys, I did it. I got 2 hanks of that cashmere. Now I got this order during one of their big 25% off sales. Okay, that's the only way I'm gonna buy yarn there is when it's on sale. So this is the Nye Erin. This is 100% cashmere. It is luscious, it is soft, it is normally $66 for this. This is like gold, y'all. $66 at 25% off. I think I got it for $49. So, you know, I still spent $100 for this. Yeah. So, you know, even at 25% off, do I want a sweater quantity of this to make a sweater? Of course I do. Would I even love to get a few more and make a scarf? Of course I would. But you know what? Again, this is hat quantity. This is in the color Crow Feather. I just went with a beautiful black. I definitely was looking at these going, I could put those together, right? And get like a marled look. But I don't think I will. With 100% cashmere, I think that just needs to be by itself, right? I mean, you don't need to do anything else with 100% cashmere yarn except wait till you can afford to buy more. And make yourself a scarf, right? I mean, that's it. Probably the only time else that I'll purchase from them again is to get more of this and make a scarf and then be like, you know what? That's out of my budget, right? I think this is about 100 yards, I believe. Hand wash, of course. It is luscious and buttery soft. Now, I love that Debbie Bliss Cashmere Merino Erin, right? And that's only 12% cashmere. But that pattern, these are both Erin weights. These are probably comparable. I could make that sweater with 100% cashmere. If I can never afford enough to make it, it'd be beautiful. And definitely a next to your skin, right? For sure. Scarves, tops. I'm going to be honest with you, though. The Debbie Bliss, those little donuts, I said they're like 98 yards, so they're not very big. But they're super affordable. Webb's puts them on sale all the time, right? And they're like $8 or $7 or $8 for the little donuts when they're on sale. So, you know, that is almost, it's not 100, right? That's only 12% cashmere. This is 100% cashmere. This is for sure softer, but I'll tell you what, is it, you know, like $8 a donut versus $50 on sale, right? Difference for me. I don't know, you guys. I'm probably going to stick with the Debbie Bliss Cashmere Merino and be grateful when Webb's puts it on sale. Because this is luscious. This is lovely. This is definitely, if you have the money and you want to get 100% cashmere, by all means, you know what I mean? Spoil yourself or somebody that you love. For sure. Enjoy, right? This is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Luscious and soft, but, you know, pricey stuff, right? And then the last one is a partnership with Manos del Uruguay. This is also gorgeous, you guys, and this is called Lovebird. They rate this as a super bulky. No, I don't think it's a super bulky in my opinion, right? But it is a roving style, so it's going to be thicker and thinner, right? So you do have places in the yarn where I would call it close to a super bulky, right? But there's other places where it's thinner. This is superwash merino, where I would call it a 5. And in fact, we have right over here yonder, right? Let's see if I can get this out. Oh my goodness, my projects are all, I got projects everywhere. I'm working with, though you guys know it, I don't know if we're ever going to finish it or not, but with the Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, right? And this to me, whenever I think of it, is a yarn of 6, right? I compare them to Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick. This is a number 6 super bulky to me. So, you know, in places, right, some of the thicker places on this, it could be comparable. But, you know, to me, it's probably closer to, I'm trying to get, you know, strand of each of these next to each other. It's probably definitely closer to a 5 in my book, but places of it are going to be thicker, where it's probably closer to a 6, right, like there. But again, I don't think it's quite Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, right? But it's beautiful, right? This is beautiful hand dyed, right? 100% Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick is 80% acrylic, not hand dyed, mass produced, Manos de Uruguay, Lovebird. This is a hand painted, gorgeous yarn. Got 2 of these in the blackberry. Can't remember the yardage on this, you guys. It's another one that's, I think it's about 100, I think. But really soft. Okay, this is a really soft yarn. This is another one that I could say, well, I think I'm just going to make hats with this and call it good. But it's also, see, like, look at this. See, this part of the strand, this is nice and thick. But this is also one that I could say, well, you know, maybe if I was going to purchase from them again, I'd get more of this, right? I'd get more of this and, you know, make myself a garment with it. Like, this is definitely another next to your skin kind of a yarn. This is super soft. Really, it is. It's luscious and soft. So there, in terms of the texture, right? The texture is just, this is amazing, right? The texture of these yarns is incredible. So I guess we all have to decide, you know, what we're willing to pay for different yarns and things. What are we going to pay for, right? And so to me, you know, the texture is amazing, incredibly soft, but at the same time, it's like, oh boy, you know, that's not a lot of yarn for the prices over there. But gorgeous, beautiful yarns. Glad we did it, right? Glad we can say we did it. Will we get enough for sweaters, or are we just gonna be like, just make hats, May? Just make yourself 6 or 3 like gorgeous little hats and be happy, right? Be happy. So there's my other one of that. And then they do, the one thing I do like about their company is they do send you these little skeins of free samples. And I did have to go to the website and look this one up and figure out what the heck it is. It's Good Wool is what it's called. And it's a Highland wool. This does not feel like super wash to me. This feels like a hand wash. I could be wrong on that. I don't remember what the website said, honestly, and I don't think I can. I'll show you the tag, and y'all can figure it out. I think there's a QR code there where you can just like go and check it out. But it does not feel. It feels like a more of a rusticy wool, right? It feels definitely less processed, more rusticy. But it's a nice quality wool, without a doubt. I think it's probably like a Highland wool, I'm pretty sure is what I read. It's a good quality wool. It is. It's well done. It's nice. You know, would I probably pay their prices for it? Probably not. I think I can get other wools from other companies. But it's nice to get samples. It's nice to touch it. It's nice to go, yeah, that's a good quality wool. That's a nice wool. You know, so that would make like a nice cardi or something, or a nice hat or something. I don't know, with this quantity, probably, I don't even know if I could make a hat with this. I don't know, probably not. It's just a sample, right? They just want you to touch it and feel the quality of the yarn, which is cool because most companies don't do that. They don't send you a free sample. So that's pretty cool. I will say that about their company. Every time I've ordered from them, I get free samples, right? So we like free samples. We like that. So that's nice. So that's the birthday present, y'all. If that's all you came for, that's cool, right? That's totally cool. Nothing wrong with that. So just to say you wanna ogle the bushy yarn, right? You just wanna like see the bushy yarn. Nothing wrong with that. But you know what I did, you guys? You know what I did? OMG, look at this. I was like, I've just been wanting to make this jumbo. This is the Premier Parfait Palm Party. Right, went from bougie yarn to like polyester, weird, sparkly palm party, and like this orangey, right? It's supposed to be orange. I don't actually know if it is, you guys. It's supposed to be, I don't remember the color. The color's something like citrus or something like that. So I'm assuming that it's orange, but you guys know I'm colorblind. It is really soft, though. It's really soft. It's really nice. It's a little bit challenging to crochet with because of all the bobble and the sparkle and stuff. But, I'm on my second hank of this, right? And so what am I using? I'm using the same old pumpkin patterns that I love from Knit Picks, and we crochet this clove crochet pumpkin pattern. Now, of course, it's written for a sport weight, right? A number 2, and you're supposed to crochet it up with a 3.5 milli. Oh, you guys want to see? Look at the skirt got some love, you guys. This is why we're not working on this together today, because there's no way I could memorize that chart, right? Could keep that chart in my memory. And talk to y'all and conversate, right? I have to keep repeating the number pattern of my stitches when I work on this. So, but it got some love. Is it going to be here for Valentine's Day yet? We don't know. Guess, trust me, I could mess it up still, you guys. I could. That's a fact. So, but I thought let's crochet our pumpkin together, right? On my third skein. If I do this, I'm probably gonna have to switch yarns, and y'all know how I feel about doing that on camera. I'm not good at it. We found that out in my 250th video, right? But nonetheless, right? Nevertheless, I thought it'd be really fun to hang out with you guys and crochet a giant pumpkin, right? The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, right? Cause those pumpkins make me happy, and part of me was like, save it for next October, mate, right? I mean, what else are we gonna do in October if we crochet up our giant pumpkin now? I don't know, but I'm sure I'll come up with something, right? Probably just make even more pumpkins and different yarns for the fun of it. But now, what do I talk about these pumpkins? Is basically with these pumpkins, free pattern, right? Is you're just making a ball like you would do for any other, pretty much like if you're making an Amy and you're making the head, right? Like the snowman that we did over in December from Pink Box Yarns, right? And like the head of my little penguin friend, right? It's just a big ball. It's just a big plushy ball, right? And so, so that's all that this is for the pumpkins. And then the trick to making it a pumpkin, of course, right, is taking your yarn at the end and being able to wrap it to make the different segments of your pumpkin, right? And what do I talk about with that? The big challenge is, of course, when they get really big, is can you actually get your needle through to the other side, or does it get lost in the stuffing, right? I mean, that's a possibility. I'm going to put my best and favorite knitting needle into this thing, or not knitting needle, but, darning needle into this thing, sewing needle, right, to pull that strand through, and it's going to get lost and swallowed up in all the fluff, and we're never going to be able to wrap this thing, right? I mean, that could happen, and then it's not a pumpkin at all. It's just like a big old orb. It's just like a big orange sparkly blingy palm party orb, right? So if that's the case, I'm just telling you now, if that's the case and I can't turn this thing into a pumpkin, I'm going to put bells in it like I did my snowballs, and just have like not only is it going to be like a blingy, sparkly pumpkin, but it's going to be like a blingy, sparkly orange orb ball with jingle bells inside. And we'll just have that if we can't turn it into a pumpkin. If it's like so fat and so big that there ain't no belt extension long enough for it, right? Right? I mean, that's real for some people. Okay, we're not being mean. We're just saying, like, they're like want an extension with your seatbelt, right? And so, you know, if our pumpkin is so big that we can't get our little strings around it, right? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna love it anyway. We're gonna feed it some jingle bells, right? Make it jolly and keep it as a big orange fluffy ball. If we can't turn it into a pumpkin, if we can't get if we can't get like the yarn around it, right, and make it into a pumpkin. So either way, I'm gonna have fun making it. I'm gonna have. I really like this yarn. It's difficult to. I'm using a 10 milli, by the way. If you're like what size hook are you using? I'm using a 10 milli. We want to keep this thing nice and tight, right? So I probably could. I have a 12. I actually have a 12 millimeter crochet hook, y'all. I do. It's a biggie. It's a biggie. But I'm just using this 10 milli radiant wood from We Crochet. I like it. I like it. I like it. I'm choosing that because I think it's going to be less snaggy and less splitty, right? And now this is a polyester yarn, so it's not going to be splitty per se. But sometimes those polyester yarns can kind of come apart on you, right? They can come off their little center core. I'm going to tell you what, so far, this is good stuff. I have it a couple of places in it, like at the ends, right? At the ends where it can be right here, right? Where it's coming apart from the core, the strand of, I don't even know what it is. The little decorative strand that's in there that's got the palms and the sparkle on it is coming apart. It's coming untwisted at the beginning. But other than that, it's really holding together pretty good. I will say that about this yarn. I was surprised. I was like, is that going to come apart, right? Is that strand of decorative stuff going to come untwisted and, come out of there? And it's holding together pretty good. So it's not difficult. It's a little bit challenging to crochet with at times when those little bobbles, right? Because these are tight stitches. Those little bobbles can definitely add a little heft to your yarn. But overall, it really isn't. It's not bad at all to crochet with. It's not being difficult. It's not being like super persnickety, right? So, I'm definitely gonna stuff this thing and do my very best to make it into a pumpkin. But I'll love it either way, right? If it's too big to be a pumpkin, we're gonna make it a ball and we're gonna love it. We're not gonna be sad if we can't turn it into a pumpkin because we can't wrap it, right? And get that little cord around it. So anyways, so I'm having fun, and I was like, I know it's February. Nobody has to be like May. It's February. It's not pumpkin season, okay? Nobody has to tell me that. You don't have to be like, May's pumpkin season was in October. Pumpkin season's in the fall, right? September, October, November. That's pumpkin season, okay? You don't need to ruin my birthday party and tell me that. I'm very, very aware of that, okay? The pumpkins make me happy, and I enjoy making them, and I'm like, it's my birthday, and so that's what I want to do. If you don't like it, that's okay, but if you are joining me for my birthday, and you want to crochet a pumpkin of any size, pumpkins in all sizes are welcome here, right? Big ones, little ones, right? We don't discriminate based upon size here. So little pumpkins are cool, big pumpkins are cool, medium pumpkins, orange pumpkins, yellow pumpkins, speckled pumpkins, palm party sparkle pumpkins, marled pumpkins, I made a tweed pumpkins. It's all cool. So whatever, if you want to join me in the middle of February to make a pumpkin because they make me happy, then you can join me. If not, let me know in the comment section what you're working on. If you're working on a blanket or a scarf or whatever is making you happy today, right? That's what I want for you. I want you to make whatever makes you happy, just like me, right? I'm like, it's my birthday and I'm going to make whatever makes me happy. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I hope for you too, that you choose something. You choose joy today, right? You choose joy however you're able to do that. Whatever brings you joy and whatever brings you happiness. If it's not crocheting, it's painting, right? If it's sculpting, if it's carving, right? We know about the carving story, right? You're carving a penguin. It's cool. It's cool. Or a pumpkin. It's all good. You do you, right? You do you over there. So anyways, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit. Wanted to visit with you about my life a little bit. Can we talk about my life a little bit? I'm getting all reflective. I'm going to wait till I get to the end of this round, because guess what? I do want to put out some markers. Now I said pumpkin, and it doesn't really matter if my row count is a little bit off, right? Because it's a pumpkin. It's a giant pumpkin, and I only have 6 skeins of this yarn. And so realistically, right? Realistically, this pumpkin can only, this pumpkin can only be so big. However big we can get it with that. Am I going to use all 6? Probably not. Let's see. I'm going to put my marker in again. I want to put out a stitch marker. I'm trying to remember how many rounds I did without you guys. I've already lost track. I think I did. You work it up to 60 stitches for this one. And of course, it's your pumpkin, right? You don't have to make it 60 stitches around. You make your pumpkin however many rounds. Oh my goodness, you guys, I have those little heart buttons that I put out here to, tell me how many rounds I've done. Guess what, you guys? I can't even find them, and I just got them out today. I'm like, don't forget to get out your little buttons, right? So you know how many rounds you've done, and then who lost them, who lost their little buttons before they came on today. And I also always lose my earbuds, you guys. It's an ongoing thing for me. I'm like, where's the earbuds today, right? So here they are. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to take one out. So I know I got my pumpkin up to 60 stitches last night, and I did 1 round. And then I did another round today while I was on the phone with my mama. I already talked to her. So that's 2. Just did 1 with y'all. So that's 3, but we're just going to put 1 button out so that I know I did 1 now. We're just going to keep going. I'm going to have to join in that 3rd skein of yarn. If you are making yours 60 stitches around with this giant jumbo 7 yarn, I got all the way up to the round where you do 54 stitches, okay, around, before I had to join in my 2nd skein of yarn. So I know I'm going to need more than 1 to get through my decreases, right? So we got a whole brand new package of it right here. We'll be able to attach this other one on, and then just keep cruising, right? Just keep cruising. So are we going to use it all though? Probably not. That would be like a massive pumpkin, so we probably won't do that today. But anyways, I was just thinking a lot about my life, you guys, and life's a journey, right? We don't know where we're going. We have our ups and downs. We have our peaks and our valleys. We have our mountaintops and our valleys, y'all. And let me just tell you, I was thinking a lot about my life, and I have stood on my mountaintops, because I've stood on my mountaintops. I've had mountaintop experiences, at least in my life, right, where I've really reached the top of what I was wanting to achieve. And guess what? I've hit some pretty low spots too. I've hit the valleys. I've hit the lows. Okay, I've had some really dark places in my life. I mean, physically, right? Like, because I can't see in the light, and I got the sun coming in the window right now, and it literally is blinding me. If you don't know that yet, I am blinded by light. That's the condition, optic nerve hypoplasia. So I'm blinded by light. So obviously, real darkness, but also, metaphorically, right? I've hit those really low, those really dark places in life. And, have I hit my tallest mountain peak? We don't know yet, because I'm only 48. Have I hit my lowest low yet? We don't know yet, because I'm only 48, and I got no idea what the future holds for me. But I can certainly tell you, there's a lot of things in my life that I haven't told y'all yet. Am I gonna tell y'all? Probably not. There's things in my life that are probably never going to be public, and it's okay, right? It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to be like, you know what? I probably shouldn't be public, right? Nothing wrong with keeping some things in your life private. But at the same time, right, when you do have challenges, it's okay to share them too with other people, because other people go through similar challenges and similar experiences, and it's okay to say, hey, I got through that. You know what I mean? I lived through that. I survived that. I got through that. So, but we have to make decisions on what we're comfortable sharing, right, and what we're not. And so I was thinking, I don't know if I don't told you guys, but when I was in the 5th and the 6th grade, I was living in Spokane, Washington, and I was doing this thing with our church called Junior Bible Quiz, and it's basically like a quiz competition for, you know, the nerdy kids in church, right? Where you have to like learn all these like Bible facts and Bible verses, right? Like how many books are in the Bible, and you know what language was the Old Testament written in, and John wrote, you know, what books of the Bible did John write, and you know, just all this kind of like memorize different scriptures that deal with different themes. And so, and then there's like questions that are like worth 10 points and 20 points and 30 points. And then you practice this like quiz game, right? And then you travel around the state and you compete against kids in other churches to see who's got the best Bible knowledge and who's the best and the quickest on that buzzer, right? You literally have like a buzzer, like a game show, and you boom and you buzz in, and you got to answer your little lights up, and you got to answer the question. And so I did that. I did that in the 5th and the 6th grade. And in the 5th grade, you guys, I took 2nd place. And in the 6th grade, my 2nd year, I took 1st place. Yeah, in the whole state of Washington. I traveled everywhere from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, all the way over to from Spokane to Western Washington, to Auburn, Washington, to Federal Way. I didn't even know Federal Way was a town. I had no idea what that was. They had church over there, and I traveled over there with our church. Stayed the night there, you know, competed, showed up, y'all, showed up with my little blind self, right? And competed against their kids and whooped their behinds and their own churches, and took home the trophy. Didn't just take home the trophy for myself, but for our church too, like our church's team. Like they had individual trophies for the top kids, and then, you know, if their team, right, our whole team, like if other kids on my team were able to help me score, then they would get, our whole team scores would be added up together too, throughout the whole weekend of competitions, right? And let's see. Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm gonna have to join other yarn. This is gonna be, you guys know how bad I am about this. Awkward. Oh my God, I'm gonna do it on camera again, and I hate that. It's so awkward, but there's just no other way to do this, you guys. So I'm gonna have to put in another skein of yarn, and you know I hate doing this on camera because I'm so bad at it. If you watched my 250th video, you saw. But let's see if I can do this, you guys. Gonna pull through both strands. We're gonna pull through both strands. Get this going. You guys know I'm gonna put a knot in it. Some of you are cringing. You're cringing. Oh my God, she's gonna put a knot. It's gonna go on the inside of a pumpkin, you guys. It's literally gonna be the inside, the innards of my pumpkin friend here. It's gonna be okay. All that mess, y'all, is gonna stay on the inside. It's gonna be okay. So, anyways, okay. Gotta figure this out again. Where am I at? And then I'll get back to my Bible quiz story. I will. What am I doing here? Okay. Let's see. Okay. And so, anyways, so I traveled, right, in the 6th grade, you know, all the way from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho to Federal Way, Washington. And I brought home the 1st place trophy as an individual Bible competitor, and also for our team. My other teammates were able to show up for me, right? And they were able to compile all of our scores and compare it to, you know, the other churches and the teams. And so our church brought home a 1st place trophy for our entire team too. So when I was 12 years old, I was the nerdy McNerd, who's surprised by that. Nerdy McNerd, right, with her thick glasses and her white cape, right? Nerdy McNerd over here, who can like tell you, you know, that all the different yarn specs, right? and memorized stuff, had all these Bible verses memorized and all these Bible trivia memorized and could compete statewide. And I was the junior Bible quiz champion of Washington State when I was in the 6th grade. And, I thought I was pretty smart. I did. I was like, ooh, like cocky and smart and nerdy, right? And then I started, and the 6th grade then was still grade school. Now it's like middle school, but it was still grade school then. And so, and then I started middle school and I started 7th grade. And then we moved. We moved in the middle of my 7th grade year in 1990, 1991. And we went back home to my hometown. My mom, we only went to Spokane so that my mom could get finish her undergraduate degree in nursing and get her master's degree in nursing. And she couldn't do that. Our town only had a community college and she wanted to get more education. And so she moved our family from end of March of my 3rd grade year, 4th, 5th, 6th, and the first half of my 7th grade year to up into Spokane. And then we moved back, and let me tell you, it was a dramatic shift. Like, it's interesting because in terms of like our home, my parents live in a nice, suburban middle class neighborhood. You saw it on camera in June, and we were in Spokane. We were really poor, and so we couldn't afford to live in a nice neighborhood. So like we literally had a drug house across the street from us, right, when we were in Spokane. Like somebody literally OD'd and died across the street from us on heroin in the bathtub, right? The ambulance came and did not save them, right? People were selling heroin and crack and stuff across the street from us, and people were ODing and dying across the street from us. But in spite of that, and we were poor as I've ever been, I was thriving, right? Junior Bible quiz champion, learning how to use my white cane. I was thriving. And then we moved back to this middle class neighborhood, and my life took a completely different turn to where I was, the new kid in school again. Like the kids that used to know me wouldn't even hardly acknowledge me, right? And they got bullied in school just daily, and was just a miserable kid in school. And hated it then. Not that I didn't hate school. I liked to learn still. I was just like nerdy, and I still like to learn. But I just couldn't deal with like the bullying and things. And so I started skipping school, and I told my mom at the end of my 7th grade year, I'm like, Mom, I'm not going back there. You're not making me go back there, right, for 2 more years in that school. I can't do it. And so they transferred me to the other middle school. We only had 2 middle schools in town. And before I even got there, right, I'm 13 years old and, running wild, right, as a teenager, and with my little friend in the park. And that summer, like that August between my 7th and 8th grade year, and meet up with like this little 17-year-old guy, and he becomes like my little boyfriend. And we sneak out of the house to meet. He's getting beer for us, right? And we sneak out of the house in the middle of the night to like meet this guy. And we just meet up with him, and he's got his case of beer, and we're like, cool, right? Cool. And before we get even anywhere, we got rolled on by the po-po, y'all. So, which was a good thing, right? It actually is a cop who ended up having like a really significant role in my life. He was still in uniform. He was just a rookie cop then, in uniform, young man, but he was already in an unmarked vehicle. Like they knew what they had in him, and he knew what he wanted to do. So he was still in uniform, but he was definitely in an unmarked car, and he already knew, right? Like I could nab this kid at 17 for this beer, or I could follow him and see where he's going to take us. And that was this man's strategy. And quickly it got him moved from not just unmarked vehicle to UC. He was full on, UC undercover, like no uniform, right? In flannels and jeans, ripped up jeans, unshaven. He was undercover, full on. Look at like the grunge look of the 90s. Totally could pull off the grunge look of the 90s, and blend in with the crowd, right? And he went full on undercover narcotics. But that man was really, really good to me. But when he was still, in uniform, right, in his unmarked car, rolls on us, right, before I can even, like, he knew at that point. He was like, I'm not, I spoke too soon. You guys, look at that. Our yarn's coming untwisted. Our little fancy string is coming untwisted from our bigger strand here. But that was his strategy, right? It was like he knew he wasn't going to let this guy, give these little teenage girls beer, right? That was as far. He could have let this guy, take us to the party and got a bigger bust, but he knew that the possibilities of this guy giving these little teenage girls beer was real, right? And so he was like, "No, I'm putting a stop to this," So within a year, y'all, I went from being like the junior Bible quiz champion to being brought home by the pawpaw at 13 for sneaking out, right, and having beer. And thankfully he didn't write me up for it. He brought me home, and let me tell you, I was in big enough trouble with my parents. It was like he didn't have to do nothing, okay? He knew my mom from the ER, because police bring people to the ER all the time, right? That's part of their job. Sometimes is to bring people into the ER to get medical checks. And so my mom was an ER nurse at the time. And so he already knew my mom. And he knew that bringing me home to my parents was going to be punishment enough, okay? He knew he didn't need to do anything else to me. That I was going to be with both my mother and my father. I was going to be in big, big trouble at home. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm just going to turn you over to your parents. They're going to deal with you. And I already know. Right? I don't have to do nothing to you, child. That was like the roller coaster of life, right? And I've done amazing things, but that was like the beginning, right, of my like tumultuous, crazy teenage years, right? Of the beginning of the alcohol and the weed and the boyfriends, right? And like literally and the fighting with both girls and boys, and it was a crazy, crazy time in my life for a while. And I know I mentioned it before, but I started, fighting a lot in school, and, went from just defending myself, right, which, it's okay. When you're being bullied, it's okay to fight back, right? But I spent 2 years being bullied before I'd fight back, getting beaten up before I'd fight back in school. But then I became an aggressor, and I became somebody that would, really fight with people. And so I mentioned that before, where I ended up being turned over to the police, right, by one girl's family. They were like, no, this girl's got a problem, right? This is problematic. And they wanted to press charges against me. And a different cop. There's 2 police officers that really looked after me during my teenage years, that were really, really good to me. And he was like, you know what? Let's try therapy first, right? How about that? How about if I, strongly suggest to her family that, there's going to be official charges against their daughter for, pretty vicious assault if they don't agree to get her help and put her into therapy. And so I did. I went to therapy for that. And it was the right thing for me to do. It really was. I was turning into something that I don't want to be ever, and don't want to become, right? Like we shouldn't, I'm not saying we shouldn't defend ourselves. I think I did the right thing in many fights by defending myself, but at the same time, I didn't need to be somebody that was like, starting fights with people and becoming aggressive and all that. So ended up in therapy, right? But the good thing about me being in therapy was my mom would tell me, right? I'd go to therapy and she'd make a point of telling me, this is where we joined in our yarn, you guys, and so this stitch is really tight for me. Hang on. So she'd tell me every time we came out of therapy, she'd be like, this is costing our family, right, like $100 every time that you have to come in and talk to this lady, right? It's costing us $100, and you need to know how expensive your behavior is, right? And she was not pleased. But she did it, and she joined me in some sessions. My dad joined me in some sessions to talk about our family. But so we get out of the therapy. My mom writes the check one day, right? And we get out of the therapist's office. We got the old station wagon, right? The old board station wagon, and I'm getting back in. And it's winter time still. I might have been around the time I was 15 or something like that. And she's talking about the $100 check, right? And I get into the back seat of the station wagon. I'm like, the first thing I say to her when I get in the car is, I can do that. And my mom's like, what? And I'm like, I can do that. And she's like, what? And I'm like, well, she does, Mom. $100 an hour? Are you kidding me? To talk to messed up teenagers and help them? I can do that. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. What she does for a living, right? I'm going to do it. And my mom's like, really? You want to be a therapist? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay. And she was actually, pretty thrilled by that, because prior to that, my life goal was, I'm going to be a DJ, right? I'm going to be a disc jockey, right? I'm going to play the tunes, going to spin the records. And that was what I wanted to do. My mom's like, how are you going to do that? You can't even read, like, the CDs. How are you going to do them? I'm like, I don't know, but I want to be a DJ. I want to spin the tunes. So she was actually, and when I look at it now, though, I just looked it up because I like Paris Hilton was like, made her career starting off as a DJ, right? She ended up could make $1 million a gig. Paris Hilton. So, can you make it big as a DJ? Yeah. Could I have been a Paris Hilton? Probably not. I'd probably be making minimum wage somewhere, right? So, but my mom was really happy that I wanted to be actually have a professional career. But then she's like, okay, that means you got to go to college. I'm like, oh. And she's like, not just college, you're going to have to get at a minimum a master's degree. Okay, you're going to have to get accepted into it. You have to finish high school, which was questionable at that time in my life, right? I got suspended for a week for that fight. A week. And so she was like, it was questionable if I was even going to finish. And so she was like, you're going to go to college, that means, and you're going to have to get like a master's degree at a minimum. And I'm like, oh, damn, right? Oh, damn. And so, but that thought never left me. It made me start to realize that I had to take school seriously. I had to get better grades. I had to be in class. I had to skip school less, right? In 7th and 8th grade and 9th grade, I skipped a lot of school. I did. And even 10th grade, I skipped a lot of school. Schools weren't this like they are now, right? Schools are on lockdown now and kids are stuck in school. Not then, man. It was just like open. You could just walk in and out, come and go as you please, open range. I skipped a lot of school. And I got pretty good at it too, right? Had all my little strategies. But then I knew, I'm like, well, man, I'm going to actually have to take school seriously and get better grades and go to graduate school and do all the things just so I can talk to messed up kids and help them, right? Help them along the little journey. But it gave me a goal and it got me to be more serious, right? And so then, let's see, when I was like 16, I ended up wanting to participate in a summer program with the Washington State School for the Blind over in Vancouver, because they were doing like a, sort of like a career, kind of like a profession sort of a focus that year for high school, right? Middle school and high school kind of a kids. And I'm like, that would be good for me since I want to be a professional now, right? since I want to be a professional, I got professional goals now, right? And I'd never done anything with the School for the Blind before because of the distance from where they were from our hometown. But this would have been a week-long trip for like a summer school program. And my mom bought the plane ticket because it was my first time to fly too. My mom bought me the plane ticket because she definitely wanted me to, like be thinking about, professions and careers and all of that. I gotta put out another marker here, you guys. And so I went to this summer school program, and of course, right, I brought who did I bring with me? Me, right? When you go places, who do you bring with you? You. So just because I went across the state to the school for the blind, I still brought me, and I still brought all my problems, and I still brought all my drama, and I brought my weed. I flew, this was back in the 90s, flew with my weed across the state, right? And I did it, right? Brought that weed right through that airport, like no problem. I don't even know what I was thinking, you guys. I have no idea what I was thinking. But I did it and had no problems doing it. Like, didn't get caught, right? Smuggled that weed like a pro through the airport at 16. I don't even know what was wrong with me. But I just was like, I don't know, but the weed's going or I'm not going, right? Didn't get caught, ended up with it down there, right? And then, of course, all my usual drama with boys and all of that, and then sneaking out to meet some other guy that I already knew in the area. Drama, right? Brought me with me, which meant I was still there, and it was just like drama. I'm not going to get into all the details, but basically, at the end of the week, right, the Washington State School for the Blind was like, your child's a little too social. It's a euphemism for she's too messy and we don't want her, right? She's too messed up and we don't want her. We don't want this kid here. They're like, she's too socially advanced for our program. That's what they said about me. Like, she's so socially advanced for our program. She should not return to this. I got kicked out of the school for the blind, you guys, at 16. You're like, no, please don't come back here, right? Made it back across the state with my weed, though. I wasn't going to leave the rest of that behind. Brought that back on the air. I was in big trouble with my parents, too, after that week. Let me tell you what. Woo, another time. The problems didn't stop yet. I was in trouble once again with my parents. But I'm going to tell you the good thing that came out. If I can say that there was only like one, besides meeting a really good friend. I met a really, really good friend that week. But the one of the best things that came out of that week for me was that they did, I don't know, you guys, this thing's really twisting and separating, is that they did this career day thing. We actually did it twice during the week where we got to meet real blind and visually impaired adults who were working, right? Who had jobs, who were working. And we got to go to meet them at their work site and see them in their work environment, because that's what they wanted for us. They wanted us to know, as visually impaired children, right, that you can have a job, you can have a career, right, a career. And so we met them at their jobs, and this lady was visually impaired like me. She wasn't totally blind. She could still read large print, you guys, like me. And she had the most adorable little black or yellow Labrador guide dog. And I was like, wait, what? You're not totally blind, right? What? And so I found out that I could have a guide dog. And I was like, wow, cool. So because of her, right, it took me down the path of having guide dogs. And so I'm so blessed. I can honestly tell you guys, like, I'm so, so blessed that I had that encounter. If nothing else came out of that week, right, at the School for the Blind, set me on the pathway of being like, I don't have to be totally blind to have a guide dog. And then once I got focused on having a guide dog, right, then I really did know that I had to grow up and I had to, like, stop getting in trouble, right? Stop getting in trouble, me, and take your academics seriously. Get focused on getting a guide dog. Get focused on going to college, right? So I did, and I got involved with a program during those years too called Ski for Light, where they pair visually impaired people with sighted people to go skiing, and right, like, won a 10K race with them, went to graduate school, got my doctorate degree in psychology, right, because I was fighting in school. So, I mean, I've stood on my mountaintops, friends. I've got my doctorate degree in psychology, right? I won that 10K race in cross country skiing. I participated in Portland to Coast, you guys, the world's longest walking relay in the world. It was the first team of blind and visually impaired people to do that. I've done and been blessed with having amazing opportunities in my life. I've hit my mountaintops. I've stood proudly on those mountaintops. When I walked across the stage with my doctorate degree, with my guide dog, right? When I crossed the finish line as the captain of the first team of blind and visually impaired people to do Portland to Coast, when I got my trophy at 12, right, for the Bible quiz champion. But I've hit my lows, my friends. I had numerous encounters with the police between my 13th and 16th years of life. Numerous negative encounters. Then after I got my doctorate degree, guess what? I spent 6 years unemployed. Lived on food stamps as Dr. Wong, you guys. Yeah, so, but I will tell you, during that time period of being unemployed when I was 30 in 2008, guess what? The Oregon School for the Blind didn't think about contacting the Washington State School for the Blind, and they heard about Dr. Wong, who graduated with a doctorate degree in psychology with the guide dog, and they're like, you know what? Let's invite her to be our commencement speaker this year, okay? So I went from at 16 being told not to return to the Washington State School for the Blind because I smuggled my weed through the airport and brought it to school, to being invited at 30 to be the commencement speaker at the Oregon State School for the Blind for their graduation. So, I mean, we don't know, right? In my 48 years, I've done a lot, right? I've had amazing moments. I've stood at that podium at that graduation, and I wrote up my commencement speech, and I gave a commencement speech. So, life, we don't know, right? I mean, I could go on and on about the experiences that I've had, about the places I've been, about the things I've done, about the people I've been blessed to meet, right? And there's also a lot of negatives within those years. There's a lot more to the low, right? There's a lot more low spots. There's a lot of negative. There's a lot of ugly, right? There's a lot of things that I'm not proud of at all in my life, right? And I don't know where it's going to go. Never in my life did I think I would end up here on YouTube talking about it all. But you know what? And we're not going to talk about it all, right? Some things should be private. We're not going to talk about it all. But there's a lot in my life that, good or bad, right? It's part of the story. And so I know I've shared with some of y'all that, right, right in my memoir, and still trying to figure memoirs at this point. It's going to be multiple volumes, right? I mean, we got to get all that in there, right? I don't know how much is going to be in there. I don't know if I'll ever publish them or not, but I can tell you what, it's been a ride, my friends. And then I moved into this house in 2016, right? And really haven't done anything except learn to crochet, right? That was like my thing. Learn to crochet, and then get on YouTube and talk about knitting and crochet by feel, and share all these random stories about your life because maybe they'll help somebody, right? And so, anyways, that's what I'm doing here. But I never would have thought, this is not what I pictured myself doing, right? I thought when I finally got my life together, I thought for sure Dr. Wong was just gonna have a career of, being a quiet little therapist, right? Just sitting in my office helping kids. Doing what I wanted to do, right? Since I was a teenager, since I got in trouble for fighting in middle school, right? And I had no idea that this is where I would end up. And so, I don't know where life is going to take me from here. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is how I'll spend the rest of my life, is hanging out with you guys, crocheting pumpkins in February because it's my birthday, and I'll crochet a pumpkin, a giant jumbo, look at the size of my, bigger than my head pumpkin for my birthday. I don't know if this is the end for me. I don't know, you guys. I got no idea. But this is what I'm doing for now. Been here for 10 years, and you know, that's honestly after like 38 years of, you know, a wild ride, right? And it was, my life's been a wild ride, of 38 years of the wild ride that was my life. It's like I, you know, stepped off for a little bit, stepped off the merry-go-round for a little bit, right? And ended up here. So I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here, but I can certainly tell you that the first 38 years before I moved in here were eventful enough that if I don't do anything else, it's the first 38 years were an eventful wild ride, right? So we don't know where it takes us beyond here. I'm going to stop at the end of this round because I probably said way more than I wanted to put on the internet. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't put all that on the internet, mate. Maybe you shouldn't talk about all that stuff publicly, right? But anyways, let me know if you're making a pumpkin with me. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you're here for. Oh, see, this yarn just is starting to come apart here, you guys. Let me know what you're here for. And what I mean by that is it what brought you to my channel? Is it like, what do you like to see? Is it the free tutorials? I don't do too many. Hopefully there'll be more in the future. Is it yarn unboxings? Is it yarn reviews? Is it the cooking? Do you like the weird and bizarre stories, right? Do you like the stories about my guide dogs, you know, getting the poop scared out of them at the Haunted Mansion? Is that what you're here for? Look at the size of, you know, we have to put it on my head, right? I mean, we have to wear it as a hat because we're not really 48, we're like 4 or something. And we gotta like put it on our head like a giant lampshade at this point, you guys. OMG! Look at the size of that thing! Oh my god, I don't act 48 at all. Nobody has to tell me that. This thing is huge. I'm gonna put out another marker here so that I don't forget, right? That I think this is our fourth round that we did together, and I've already did 2, so I need to remember that that's 6. Don't know how many rounds I'm going to put on this thing. We don't know yet. I don't even know if I'm going to get this thing finished for Finish It Friday because it's, you know, Wednesday. I'm going to post this for Thursday. I'll be when you're watching my birthday celebration, I'll be recording Finish It Friday. And we hope that this thing is going to show up as a finished object in some form. Whether it's just a big orange ball or whether it's a pumpkin. We don't know yet, right? We don't know what its fate is yet. But either way, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what your thoughts were on the video. Let me know what you thought about the Purl Soho yarn. Should I even try to get more yarn from them? Or should we be like, yeah, no, that's way too pricey, right? That's too pricey, May, right? And, you know, let me know what you thought of the video. Like the little, you know, sort of like, overview of my life, right? Do you want to hear more of that kind of stuff? Yes or no? Alrighty, my friends. Well, you know what we have to end with, right? I got to get this pumpkin finished. And then I got to get back to the skirt, right? To see if that can make it for Valentine. I'm skeptical whether that's going to make it for Valentine's Day or not. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, creativity is for everybody, right? Whether you see or you see like me, which is not in color, or you don't see at all. Creativity is for you. And whether it's knitting or crocheting or sewing or quilting or beading or sculpting or painting or weaving or carving or whatever it is that you do today, it's a great day to craft and create. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, happy stitching. Bye-bye for now.